What's going on, everyone? In this video today, we're going to go over the best deadlift variations, and we're going to break it down into 3 different categories: technique, general strength, and hypertrophy. So whatever goal you have for a training block, you know which exercise to put into your program. So let's get right into it. What's going on, my powerlifting people? Thank you for tuning in to another video. And if you're new here to the channel and you don't know who I am, since most of you watching my videos are not subscribed to the channel, my name is Aaron Kamesi. I'm a powerlifting coach, athlete, referee, and meet director. So I make videos here on this channel to help out all those groups of people. All right, we already did the video going over the best squat variations, and we already did the video going over the best bench press variations. So today we're gonna go over the best deadlift variations. Personally, my favorite lift and my strongest lift. So if you missed out on those other videos, you can always check the cards above and the links down in the description below. Check out the best squat variations and the best bench press variations. But let's get right into the best deadlift variations. First up, we're gonna go over the technique category, since that is where most people need the most amount of help. And if you've watched my other videos for the squat and the bench press variations, you probably know what's coming. My favorite one is going to be a tempo deadlift. Yeah, that's right. If you wanna figure out technique, what you have to do first is slow things down, go to lighter weights, and figure out the proper position for you and what it feels like, and build up the muscles in those positions, and then you can start speeding things up and adding more weight. So for a level 1 for a tempo deadlift, what you can do is a 3-second up, 1 second pause at the top at lockout, and then 3 seconds down. Especially with that descent, a lot of people have an easier time in bringing the bar back down through the proper bar path and the proper position that their body needs to be in. It's usually the way up that people have a trouble with, because you are going against gravity, versus on the way down you can control it with gravity, and you're also stronger in the eccentric phase than in the concentric phase. So really focusing on that descent tempo will really help you feel what it's like to bring the bar back down through the proper position with your back straight and a vertical bar path. So once you figured out that 3-1-3 tempo deadlift with a lighter weight, then you can go to level 2 and you can take out the tempo during the descent. So then you can focus on a 3-second count up, 1 second pause at the top at lockout, and then just bring it down as fast as you can. That way you're causing less muscular damage, and then also you're focusing more on the concentric phase. For most people, this will also allow them to do a little bit more weight so they can practice their technique with heavier weights. Then once you figure out level 2, you can go to level 3. You can basically transition into a pause deadlift. So now instead of doing a tempo, you're gonna bring it off the ground, and you're gonna pause somewhere between the ground and the bottom of your kneecap. All right, so somewhere around mid shin is where you want to pause it, hold it for 1 or 2 seconds, and then you're going to explode up into lockout, and then you can come down regular speed. This will allow you to speed things up so you can figure out, again, being in the proper position with a faster speed and also heavier weights. But that little pause is going to make sure that when you pause, you can feel, and if you're filming yourself, you can see if you are in the correct position when you break the bar off the ground. That way you can still have that feedback of whether you're doing the technique correctly, but also be able to handle a little bit heavier weights. Next up, we're going to go into general strength. And when it comes to strength, you want to figure out where in the range of motion you're weak, and then how can you put an exercise that puts more emphasis on that range of motion. So when it comes to deadlift, the best variation is going to be some type of block pull. Personally, I like it somewhere between 2 to 4 inches, as often lifters have a weak range of motion that's from the ground to maybe about mid shin. So by raising that bar up about 2 to 4 inches, then they have to break the bar off the ground, off the blocks, from the range of motion that they are weakest at. In addition, by raising it up, you're going to take away some of the knee flexion, some of the bend in the knee, because you're not going as far down. And so you're taking some of the quads out of the movement with the block pull and making it more of a hip dominant movement, which again is going to make it more difficult. And if you don't have access to any kind of setup to raise your weights up about 2 to 4 inches, then what you can do instead is to, again, bring back that pause deadlift. Because with the pause deadlift, what you're basically doing is breaking the bar off the ground, coming into that 2 to 4 inch range where you're about mid shin, making sure you're below the kneecap, pausing there. That's going to help with time under tension in that weak range of motion, and then you have to explode through into lockout from that dead stop position. Just make sure you're coming to a full stop that is visibly clear on video, and not doing basically a slow down into that range of motion and then going all the way up, just so you can do more weight. You want to make those strength gains, you have to make sure you're doing it right. And when it comes to hypertrophy, my 2 favorite exercises are going to be the deficit deadlift and the Romanian deadlift. With the deficit deadlift, what we're doing is you're going to be standing up on blocks or some kind of setup that's going to increase your range of motion. And so that's going to increase hypertrophy because you're moving those joints, the knees and the hips, through a longer range of motion. Personally, similar to the block pull, I like somewhere between a 2 to 4 inch deficit, because if you go more than that, oftentimes it can be a mobility issue and the person's going to have a rounded back in the bottom position of the deficit. So you don't need to go too crazy with the deficit, and you want to build the deficit based on you and what your mobility levels are capable of. For lots of lifters, just 2 inches is more than enough. And then I'm a fan of a Romanian deadlift because it really hits the posterior chain. So you're gonna hit those hamstrings, those glutes, and the lower back. Overall, that's gonna help with a big and strong body, and it's especially gonna help out with the conventional deadlift. So there you have it, the best deadlift variations broken up into technique, general strength, and hypertrophy. If you want to hear me go more in depth into these variations and more with Coach Joe, then you can check out the Squats and Science Powerlifting podcast that we have. And we did an episode just for the best deadlift variations where we go more in depth so you can hear it in a longer format than this video right here. And instead, if you want to see different deadlift tips and tricks, then you can check out my deadlift tips playlist. I'll put the card for that above and a link down in the description below, where I already have a number of deadlift tips video in there, plus more coming out every week. And if you want to help me out, then you can always like this video. You can share it with a friend who's looking for help for deadlift variations to build up their deadlift. You can subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, and you can always comment below and let me know, are these your favorite deadlift variations? Are there ones that you think are better than what I listed here? Or are there any other deadlift tips videos that you want me to put out in the future? Let me know in the comments below. But other than that, I hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll see you next time.